Hi guys, welcome to another video. In this video, we're going to be looking at creating an untitled roguelike. And in particular, I'm dealing with just movement in this video. Now I know it's an hour long, I'll explain why. The reason why it's an hour long is because I'm actually doing something a little bit different. I'm trying to separate the classes out so that they're not all tied together, because I actually want to I'm hoping to publish this game at the end of this. That's the real reason for that. So it's sort of showing how I'm making this game. Um, Towards the end, where it's tuning and all that kind of stuff, I might not bother with doing videos for it, but certainly the sort of basics of how I'm going about creating this roguelike. Yours may differ, but this is how I'm creating this roguelike. So the reason why I'm doing that is that there's a lot of setup involved, and the setup involves around putting in commands and events, because I need to be able to trigger certain things that happen, during certain events. So when the player moves, I need to update monsters, that kind of thing. So anyway, the video is quite long, and then it's long for that reason. There's also a bit in the middle where I forget entirely how to use generics in C#. It's not my day-to-day language, so that's on me, folks. But just bear with me. I didn't bother cutting it out. I know some people like that and some people don't, but just to let you know, there's a bit in the middle where I start faffing around trying to get stuff ready, and I apologize for that just now, but I'm keeping it in. Keeps the edit simple, and people generally people like the debug part of it. So um, anyway, I'm rambling now. Let's get started, and of course we start coding everything after the fade. This is by no means an exhaustive list, so I'm not entirely sure how I'm going to break this down as far as videos are concerned, but it's going to take a bit of time to get this done. I think today we're going to focus on input and movement, because I have a very specific thing I want to do for movement, which I think most roguelikes just blip you onto the next one, and others like kind of glide you across the next one. I want the gliding one. We also need to figure out up, down, left, right, all that kind of stuff. I also want to maybe implement commands for that um, rather than I want to try and break things up as much as possible, and not have everything kind of congealed, but I still want to do it in a kind of Unity type way. So maybe want to try and implement a command structure, but we'll see how that goes. For now, I'm just happy with doing input and movement for this video. And then events for events. So the way that this is going to work is when the player makes a movement, everything else in the map gets an update. So I need to know when that happens. And in order to know that happens, I need to fire an event to everything. Now, I could have a reference to, the player stats, because you're going to have a player stats where you you record how many footsteps the player takes, that kind of thing. You also need to update all the monsters. You might want to check to see if there's a random encounter, all that kind of stuff. All of those things have to happen after the player makes a movement. So rather than having a link into the stats and all that kind of the player room and everything, it's easier to create an event, because then you can say, okay, fire this one event, and then we can have all these receivers that can have information. So I'm going to create a post system, a message queue. I'm not going to make it multi-threaded. This is just going to be on a single thread, so I'm not going to worry about things called mutexes, where you've got locks and things like that. We shouldn't have to do that, and if we do, then we'll figure a way around it. And then for future videos, we've got to think about the map structure. Actually, map structure and level generation, they kind of go hand in hand. Then we've got to think about collisions, and then objects and treasure chests, keys and things like that, because what I want to have is you get in the level, you have to find a key to get to the exit. Once you get to the exit, you can then The exit will show it's going to look a bit like a gauntlet, so it's going to have like a trapdoor looking tile in the middle of wherever it is, and you get the key, and then once you got the key you can unlock that trapdoor. Now we might make it where it's like there's a blue key and a yellow key and a red key, kind of like Doom. I haven't quite decided yet. I also haven't decided yet on the theme, and for a roguelike it really all this stuff here has to be done for a roguelike. You can call it something else, like a treasure chest could be an ammo box, or munitions or something, and a key could just be, something else. I mean, it's a key. I mean, all keys are keys. Um, you can quote me on that. Then we've got random encounters, monsters, how we're going to organize our data files. Are we going to use magic or are we going to use technology? I mean, magic and technology, they are kind of the same thing. And then we've got tuning and then shopkeepers and citizens at the end of it. So quite a big laundry list of things to do. So I think the best thing to do is probably just dive straight in. Okay, this is the sprite sheet that I've decided to go with, just because it looked nice, and it's 8-bit and it kind of fits in the sort of aesthetic I'm looking for. So this is by a chap called Lucid Design Art. So there's your link there. I'll put it in the README notes below, or put it in the text below, and I'll add it to the document as well. But this is the sort of sprite sheet that we're going to use, just to sort of get the ball rolling, so to speak. Okay, so I'm going to create my little folder structure like I normally do. So this is going to be scenes, and I'm going to have art, and then I'm going to have scripts. So that's the sort of 3 folders that I normally create. For art, we just have one thing just now, which is that pixel art that I downloaded. So I'm going to go and grab that, and I'm going to go into, it's going to be 8 pixels per unit because the sprite is 8 pixels, and it's going to be multiple, and I want to turn off point no filter. I want to click on apply, and I think Unity, I'm going to check quality. Where does it have it? 2 times multi-sampling. Let's disable multi-sampling as well for our quality, and then go back to our 8 times sprite there, and 8 times apply, blah, 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 blah. And then we go to sprite editor, and these are all our sprites here. And then we'll do slice, and then we'll do automatic. That should fix everything. Slice, automatic. Did that not work? No, of course. Why would it work? Okay, well, we only want the first guy anyway, so it doesn't really matter. I'm just going to grab the first dude up here. Let's grab him. So that should be 8 by 8. That sounds good. And we'll call that one dude. And then we'll click on apply. So we've brought in that entire sprite sheet, and we're using a sprite, which is fine. So I'm going to create an empty one here, and I'm going to call this player. And I'm going to zero out the transforms. Zero out the transforms. I don't know why that didn't reset there. And then I'm going to add a 2D object sprite, or I can just drag dude onto player. And there's my dude there. And you can see that he's the right size. So the white background is actually not good. So just for now, I'm going to change this to a white background, just so that he blends in more than anything else. And I'm also going to drag the camera out just a little bit further to make it like 7.5 maybe, or even 8. Yeah, there you go. And then we'll save that scene there. And we'll call this movement test. So movement test. We haven't written any code yet, obviously, but we're going to go and do that just now. So for player, we're going to add the locomotion onto here. So I'm going to create another folder in here called player, and this is where all our player stuff's going to go, and I'm going to call this locomotion. Locomotion, and then we double click that and fire up Visual Studio. Okay, so now that has been done, what I want to do now is decide what the movement actually is for the player. Now, the current movement is going to be based on the horizontal and the vertical, but it's going to move the player. Okay, for locomotion, I don't want anything. I just want this to be the movement. So I just want an update function. And what I want to do is I want to say if input.get axis horizontal is greater than 0, and then I want to fire an event. So I want to say message. Actually, I want to say message queue dot instance dot and this is kind of I remember or if you remember back to the September update, I mentioned about doing test-driven design. This is kind of, it's nothing like it, but this is kind of like test-driven design in that I'm building the logic for something that I know doesn't currently work, but we're going to make it work. So right now I'm writing something that's going to fail. So I don't have a message queue. There's no instance of a message queue, but I want it to do something. And what I want to do is I want to post, and then I want to post a new move player, and then the direction is going to be direction dot actually move player, and it's going to be vector 2 dot right. Okay, else if input dot get axis horizontal is less than 0, message queue dot instance dot post new move player vector 2 left. Else if input dot get axis vertical is greater than -1, which I think is up. Let's do it as 1. Greater than 0. Message queue, we can fix that. Dot instance dot post new move player vector 2 dot up. Else if input dot get axis vertical it's greater than 0, sorry, less than 0. Message queue dot instance dot post new move player vector 2 dot down. Okay, so probably all of you are like, what are you doing? What are you doing? None of this is working. None of this exists. You're crazy. You're right, I am, but I'm crazy like a fox. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to create, the first thing I want to do is I want to create this move player message. But in order to do that, I need it to do something. I need it to send to somewhere. So I need to have a payload that is of that type. So do I? I don't know if I do actually. I just need to have it register with that type. So let me create that type first of all. Okay, let's go back to here. So player, and then I'm going to have in here so this is our messages. So we're going to create a new folder again, messages, and our new message is going to be move player. And we're going to double click that. I'm going to reload the solution. And move player is just going to be a plain old C# class, a POCO. And that's going to be public move player vector to direction. Direction equals, actually we can just do public vector to direction, get private set direction. Okay, and that's all we need for that class. That's it. That's all we need. So now we go back to our locomotion. You can see that now move player does indeed exist, and it's perfectly valid. So now we need to fix our message queue here. So our message queue is going to be slightly more complicated because we need to do a couple of things. We need to do some kind of registration. So when you first start, you need to be registered with it and maybe have a callback. Maybe we could do that as well. Maybe that's a good idea. Okay, so I'm going to go back to scripts and I'm going to create another folder here, and I'm going to call this post office, for lack of a better phraseology. And then I'm going to create another C# script in here called message queue. And our message queue, reload solution, is going to be a mono behavior, but I need it to do something a bit more clever than that. I'm going to create what's called a singleton pattern. And a singleton pattern means that there's only going to be one of these objects in the scene at any one time. And then once the scene unloads, the object should unload, unless you mark it as being don't unload. But we're not going to do that. We're just going to do this per scene because we only want a message queue per scene. So the first thing we need to do is we need to add a singleton pattern. Now, I'm going to use a region for this. You don't have to, but singleton pattern. The reason why I add a region is because I don't use regions a lot these days, but for a singleton pattern, it makes sense. So I'm going to have private static instance, and that's going to be message queue. So this is going to be the actual instance that we talk about. So when you do message queue.instance, it's going to talk to this one. And the way that we do that is we have public static, and then we have message queue instance. And we're going to do a get here. And the get is going to say if instance equals null, instance equals find object of type message queue. So it's going to scour the scene and try and find that message queue. And if it doesn't find it, we're going to create one for it. So we're going to say if instance equals null, var game object equals new game object, and then we're going to call this message queue. And the reason I put the double underscores is so we can recognize it when we play the game. We can see it in the scene. We go, oh, message queues are active, so that's good. And then we're going to do instance equals go dot add component message queue, because we can't instantiate a mono behavior. We're not allowed to. We have to use the add component, otherwise Unity complains. So this is how we get around that. And then at the very end there, we just do return instance. So the first time we go in here, we're going to get a hit because it's going to say instance is null, because the static instance of this is null. So static just means it belongs to the class, not an instance of the class. So if the instance is null, we have to go and find the object. This here is quite costly, okay? So you don't want to do this every frame. So this is okay at the start because we're going to be doing things at the start when we boot the objects up, but we don't really want to worry too much about it. We don't want to call this every frame in the game. So this one here, if instance is null, that means it can't find it. So then we have to create our new game object, and then we add it as a component, and then eventually we return it as that. So that's our singleton pattern there. And then the rest of it is fairly straightforward. So we have message queue.instance, and you can see that that works now. So it doesn't have a post. Now move player needs to have a base class that we need to extend from it. So I think probably what we need to do is just create an instance, or let's create a base class actually. So we'll go back to messages here and then do add C# script, and then we'll call this base message and reload solution. And then we'll go back to our post office message queue. Where's my base message? Where is that? Scripts, player, messages. Ah, that's why. I don't want it in there. Delete it in there. I want it in here. So create base message. And then go back to here, reload solution. And so now we have base message here. Okay, so base message, again, plain old C# class. And the only thing I want to put in here is this is going to be an abstract class because I don't want people creating this class here. And I also want to have public base message string name name equals name public, and that is going to be string name get private set. Okay, and then move player is going to extend base message, and we're going to call base move player. And this is kind of going to be the sort of basis of our message event passing type thing. So now if we go back to move player, locomotion, here we go, we still have this post here. So we don't know what the post is. So we're going to go and do public void post, post base message, we're going to leave that blank just now. But when we go back to our locomotion, you see that everything is now fixed. So it's taken us, what, 19 minutes to get this all fixed up? It's not bad. It's pretty fast for one of my videos. Normally I tend to ramble a bit. So we're going to add, let's add locomotion on there. And we'll also have an animation on here which will do the actual movement. But for now, we don't really need to worry about that. So move player does that. And that's all good. So that's our base message. So we need some way to register a message, something with a message queue. So we're going to have private dictionary, and then we're going to have a type. So whatever the type is, and we'll come back to that squiggly line in just a second. Now we're going to have a list of base receiver or receiver mono behaviors. Receiver mono behavior. Okay, so we don't have that now, so that's going to be our receivers. Okay, so we'll fix some of these references up using system. So we don't have that, that's fine. Inside our void awake, receivers equals new that. Okay. So we don't have a receiver mono behavior, but we can fix that. So if we go down to here, we can create C# script, and we'll call that receiver mono behavior. So now we have a receiver mono behavior. So we're getting through this. So we now all want to do, we want to register that. So I want to do public void register receiver mono behavior, receiver, and I don't want to do this. Actually, let's just do this as t message. So we'll call this t message. Okay, so we want to register a mono behavior with this type of message. I will also want to pass that in as that type. So I'm wondering, can I do that here? I think it should be okay. Okay. So I want to say var list equals receivers dot equals if receivers contains key type of t message. If it doesn't contain that, I want to say receivers type of t message. I'll explain this in just a second. Equals new list blah 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 blah. Okay, so what am I doing here? So this is a generic type that we're passing in. So we're going to register with this type. So I want to register with this value here, and I want to call some kind of receiver on there. Now, I'm trying to make this as sort of type safe as possible, and I also don't want to do much work on the receiver end. So I want to have a method on here that we call that does something. And I think I want to do receiver dot handle and then whatever the message is. I think that's okay. So I need to have make this as abstract, and then this is going to be public void handle t message message abstract. So why am I making this abstract? Again, I don't want people making this receiver mono behavior. I want people to extend from this receiver mono behavior, which also extends from mono behavior. And the way they extend it, the way they implement that is they need to have this handle inside here. Now they must extend something that matches this. Okay. And then maybe we can put up where t message is base message, something like that. So this is us restricting what t message can actually be. So t message has to extend from base message. You can't pass in any old class. You have to pass in everything. And I'm going to, oh darn it. I'm going to do the same thing inside here as well. I'm going to put that where clause there. So you can't do anything unless it's a base message. Okay, so if it doesn't contain that, add it to there. And then I want to say if receivers, and I want to say var list equals receivers type of t message. So no matter what, at this line here, I have a list. Okay, so I want to say if list contains receiver. If it doesn't contain that receiver, list dot add receiver. Okay. Okay, so that's us registering it. So when we actively do this, let's do void start. And we'll do message queue. Actually, I don't want that to do that. I want you to control. I want to control when that happens. So I don't want to do it automatically because it might not be the right thing to do. Anyway, okay. So in here we have post. So I'm going to say, grab this here. If it doesn't contain that, return. That would be, instead of that would be message.get type. So I'm going to check and see if it contains that type. And if it doesn't, I'm not interested. But if it does, I want to call all the receiver methods. So I want to say receivers var list equals receivers message dot get type, and then again we can tidy this up because I know people are jumping up and down just now and saying, oh, you're being inefficient. It's a first pass. I just want to get this movement working, and there's a lot of work to get the movement working, I know, but once it's done, it means that we've got an event and command system built in, so that's a good thing. For each var receiver in list receiver dot handle, and then it's going to be message. And that's that. Okay, I think everything's okay there. So so what does this movement and all of this mean? Well, it means we need to build another class. So I'm going to create another class inside player, and I'm going to call this animated movement. Animated movement, and I'm going to double click that. And I don't want to extend it from mono behavior. I want to extend it from receiver mono behavior. Now you can see that it says that I have not implemented it. So I'm going to click on here and then implement abstract class. And you can see that we have this t message. So I want to, I actually want to implement move player. I don't want to implement, yeah, that's right, move player. And I'll click on F2, F12, where's that going? Move player. There we go. I don't know what I was thinking there. Suitable method. Yeah, this is what I was thinking. Damn it. Yeah, see, that's the problem there, is I really want it to one second. Okay, I think what I need to do is I need to have this as move player. And then in here, I have move player, and then over here I have this as T message, and then I move this out to here. Same name as the type parameter, blah, 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 blah. So I don't need that there. Okay, so I've got that there. So this should now work. And then inside the move message queue, I should be okay in here. But see mono behavior, I need to have this as an interface as well. So mono behavior, and then it's going to be I receiver, and I need to create that as an interface. New item, interface, I receiver. Don't want that. Visual Studio trying to be helpful. Do I have that as public? I do have that as public. Have I put that in the wrong place? No, I put that in the right place. So I have it as a receiver, and the only thing is that I don't have it as a handle, so I need to have receiver taken void handle, and then this has got to be base message. In fact, I don't want it to be base message. I want that to be add class iMessage. I want to create an interface called iMessage. I remember where my madness was coming from, string name, and I've just got string name there, and then base message is going to implement iMessage, and then inside my mono behavior, iReceiver, and that's going to be iMessage, and then go back to here, iReceiver, where is, that's going to be iMessage, why is it not liking that? Oh yeah, okay, so that's going to be T-message. There you go. It's all about placement. So if we move that to there, it's happy. So that's happy because T-message is iMessage, iReceiver extends from there. So the message queue should be happy as well. So that's going to be iMessage, because it's going to take in iMessages. That's going to be iMessage. And this is going to be iMessage. iMessage. Why is it not liking that? Receiver behavior. List that. What? Why is it not liking that? Let's just see one behavior. What's it not liking about this? It says, okay, let's just comment that out for a second. Okay, so receivers, what is it not like there? Oh yeah, okay, so that's why. It doesn't like that. iMessage to isn't. Oh, maybe we've got to make that base message. There's, I just have a list of things. I don't understand what it's saying here. So the type base message cannot be used as a parameter, as type parameter T message. Base message to iReceiver. Oh, I see. Okay, that's why. No, they've got to go first. That's right. Okay. So it doesn't like that, and that. What's it not like in here? Implement interface. Is it because it doesn't like iMessage? Let's change that to iMessage. Okay, but that's not what I want it to be. I want that to be T message. So maybe I want to implement this explicitly. There. Take that and you pipe and smoke it. Okay, so I've implemented this explicitly because it says, okay, if I'm in an I receiver, then I want to handle it by passing in the message to handle. So maybe actually more specifically, I should probably, if I can get away with it, as that, which I don't think it allows me to do. Yeah, I didn't think it would. Okay, so now this should be happy, and we should all be merrily along our way. Base message, base message, base message. Okay, and then contains receiver. That would be base message. Okay, all right, disaster averted. So then in our animated movement down here, we can now handle this properly. So now we're receiving, so getting back to what the original problem was, I want to be able to receive on this particular type, because this animated movement should only receive a message and do something, one thing with that message, and it should handle it. So all I'm going to do in here is I'm going to say transform.position plus equals message dot direction. That's all I'm going to do. That's all I want to do. And of course, I'm not going to like it because it's trying to convert between a vector 3. And I'm going to say new vector 3 vector. Direction, comma, is it not like into X? Not Y. Fine, fine. Have it your way. Okay. And okay. So now we go back to player, and then we add our animated movement. Okay. So the moment of truth. When we play this, we get errors. That would be get. So we just need a get on that message. Come on. Okay, here we go. So we move to the right. Nothing happens. That's good. That's good because we didn't actually register anything. Aha. So what we need to do is we need to do void awake And then we want to say, actually, do you know what? We could register automatically now because it's going to register it correctly because we're only doing one thing. So now I can say void awake. Let's have a protected abstract void on awake. We're going to say message queue dot instance dot register this. Wasn't I liking that? T message. Needs to be an iMessage. So is this all going to be iMessages now? I thought I figured out this didn't like that. Okay, now it's happy. Stupid thing. I message this, and then that's just going to be that. What? Oh, generics. The type argument for this method, blah 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 blah, cannot be inherited from inferred from usage. Try specifying the type arguments. I did. This. T message. Where T message is iMessage. What is the problem? Let's not quibble about that just now. Let's try and figure out if we can get this animated here. We don't need that either. Let's do void awake. Message queue.instance.register this. So this doesn't work either because this is complaining. iMessage cannot be inferred from usage. Try specify. Wait a minute. Move player. What is move player? Move player is base message. Base message is iMessage. What? What is complaining? What is it that it sees that and I don't get? Receiver mono behavior iMessage cannot be inferred from usage. Register move player. Oh, because that's T message. Oh, what a buffoon. Spelling mistake. And now it doesn't like any of these. Contains receiver, T message to iMessage. Where T message is iMessage. Receiver, T message. I don't understand why. Compiling? No, did not like that. Best overloaded has some invalid arguments. is it possible that it's because it just doesn't know, like this doesn't know this exists here, but that's what this constraint is for. T-message, iMessage, T-message, where T-message is iMessage. So T-message is iMessage. That's weird, the fact there. Okay. Can't convert from T-message to iMessage. I don't. Or maybe you just have it as this. Yeah, see? Let me just make that as iReceiver. 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 There you go. That looks like everything's working there. And I didn't do that in the first place. And then if I go to here, I can probably get away with this now. On awake. So now this is going to complain because it hasn't implemented that. So I can implement the abstract class there, and then it will work it out itself. So I don't have that awake there. So now, okay, so what we have now, we've got a receive mono behavior, and that's going to handle the event. It's also got an on awake, and then we've got this interface specific handle event, which I think we could probably get rid of now. Yeah, it doesn't like it still. Let's leave that in then. And then on awake, what it's going to do is it's going to register this, which I think I could probably get away with that now. It's going to, no, still didn't like it. It's going to register this class with the post office or the message queue, and then everything else is going to run into there. So receiver, we don't need to know anything because receiver has got a handle and it's an iMessage. So everything's good, everything's funky. All of these should go away. Hopefully this is as clear as mud. Really sorry for this video. But honestly, it'll be worth it once it works. All right, well that worked. Okay, so now so now what we probably want to do is we probably don't want to have it as that get access. So maybe we want to have that as input.get key up, key code dot right arrow. So that's right arrow, and then we'll do the same thing for left arrow. And then up arrow and then down arrow. Okay. So that would be up arrow, I think, and then that would be down arrow, and then that would be left arrow. Okay, so our locomotion, and this is the reason why we write these small, tiny little scripts is this can be used anywhere. I mean, there's no link between, other than the message queue, there's no link to the outside world. So my animated movement, I'm using air quotes just now because it's not animated yet, but my animated movement is literally just that, is that it moves the character. That's all it does. And similarly, our locomotion script, all it does is tell the character to move. But those two scripts, the animated movement and the locomotion, they are not connected in any way. There's no reference to there's no reference to the locomotion, there's no reference to animated movement. They're completely separate. And this is what I want to do for this roguelike, is do it the Unity way, but I want to do it the proper object-oriented, keep things separate way. So other than getting mixed up with generics there, I think we're going well here. So if I move back, you can see that the player is now moving backwards and then forwards, and I've got the up and down wrong, so I'll just swap that round. So that is up arrow and that is down arrow. Okay, so let's get the animation done. What is our animation? Our animation is going to be quite simple, actually. So what I want to do, though, is I also want to send a message saying that the player has finished moving. So I'm going to create another message, which is, where are we? Inside project. So move player. So maybe we should call that move player start. We'll just leave it as move player. That's fine. And then we'll call this one move player end. You see, maybe if we have these start and end ones, we just call it start and end. Reload solution. So move player, and we have move player end, and this is going to be a base message. And we're going to have public vector to start get private set, public vector to end get private set, public move player end, vector to start, vector to end, and then we're going to have our super, we need to call the base class, move player end, and equals end. Okay. So every player movement is going to end with a move player end. So our animated movement, what we want to do is we want to say we want to have this as a generic thing. So I think what we want to do is we want to have a movement class, if you like, that's completely separate, because we want to have that kind of animated movement. We can break that out and do that as a factory later on, that's fine. Okay, so var start equals new vector tor2. Actually, it's going to be transform.position. Var end equals new vector 3. Message.direction.x, message.direction.y. And then we want to do start coroutine move player, start and end, and end. The end position is the end position. Sorry, is the the direction plus the start. So our move position, we're going to have some real estate here. Private void, sorry, it'd be private I enumerate. Move player, start, vector 3, end. Okay. And then we have our duration as well. So I'm going to make that private just now. So I'm going to say private float duration equals 0.25. So we'll make that a quarter of a second. So it's quite zippy. And then we're going to have float t equals 0 while t is less than 1. Var pause equals vector 3.lerp start end t transform.position equals pause. Actually, we can just do transform.position, can't we? T plus equals time.delta time times duration. Yield return null. And then at the very end there, we're going to say transform.position equals end. And we also need to do message queue. Let's make that vector 3 for the end position. Move player end. Let's make that vector 3. Just to keep it a little bit simple when we do our little summation at the end here. So then we want to say message queue.instance.post new move player end, and then it's going to be start end. That's it. So anybody listening for the end of a player movement is now interested in can now hook into that message, and all of that is done automatically for us. We don't need to worry about doing that. We obviously do because we're writing the game, but if we were farming this out to someone else, then all they would have to do is write something that reacted to this method, much like this here, and then we could do our best. So if we play that, excuse me, we should now get an animated movement. Very slowly animated movement. That would be divided by duration. Okay. There you go. Could probably make them a little bit faster. That seems a bit slow. So we could make that 1. So we'll make it a 1/10 of a second, just to give you that little bit of a movement in an otherwise static game. There you go, that's better. And I think we'll end it there. Yeah, generics. So I have to say that I've been away from C# for about a month now. It's not my day-to-day language that I use now, and obviously it's just trickled out my ear and gone into the ether. So I apologize at the start there, or halfway through, or wherever it was that generics was like. just did a total brain poop. So thank you very much for watching. If you liked what you saw, thumbs up. If you didn't, comment below. Comment below. That would be great. I really appreciate that. Please feel free to share the channel. That's actually better than subscribing. But if you want to subscribe, neat segue, then you can press the big red button and the notification bell to get timely reminders, or you can follow me on Twitter. I'm at Codehoose, CODEHOOSE, on the Twitter. So yeah, thank you again for watching. I know that your time is precious, and thank you for spending it watching this video. Until next time, I'll catch you in the next one. Keep coding, guys. Bye bye.